I had a bit of a rough morning. This morning I woke up and I had taken a look at my bank account and I didn't like the number that I saw. And the reason I didn't like the number was because at this point where I'm at, I don't have any relief coming. I don't have a paycheck coming in. I don't have any form of like every 2 weeks. I don't have a job. And last night I had prayed for God to show me a sign just of some type of tangible result. Like, it doesn't have to be something miraculous like the lottery, something crazy. I don't need $100,000 drop into my bank account, but I just wanted some type of indication that He was with me, that He hears me, that He's walking with me. And I woke up and all I saw was, like I said, my bank account, and also saw more rejection emails from just different jobs that I had applied to. And I started to cry out and honestly lash out and feeling the pain of just being overwhelmed and not feeling God in any way, shape, or form. But then, as I was like, I would say probably in my lowest moment mentally, because again, I'm just honestly pissed off and just mad. My father-in-law shot me a text, and the text that he sent me didn't have anything to do with what it led me to, but it was in Hebrews 12, and it was like 12:2 or something like that. So instead of just focusing on that scripture, I ended up reading the entire scripture. And there was I was reading it out of my Bible app in my phone, and there was a scripture that I had highlighted a couple of years ago that I didn't remember, and it was Hebrews 12:11. And this scripture reads, "No discipline is enjoyable while it's happening. It's painful, but afterward, there will be a peaceful harvest of right living for those who are trained in this way." And honestly, this didn't make me feel better in any way. Like, honestly, in that moment, it didn't make me feel better, but I sat on it and I meditated on it. And honestly, the peaceful harvest spoke to me. And what that kind of told me, or what God kind of told me, was that my next position isn't just going to be a job, but it'll be a place of peace. God didn't just bring me out of a crappy work environment just to put me back into another one. And so really, for me, I just need to sit back and trust that He has a plan for me. And as scared as I am, as frustrated as I am, and I'm still going to choose Him. And it's tough to even say that in this moment, because I'm just like, man, like, God, when are you going to show up for me? But honestly, at the same time, I know I'm gonna be okay. Like, I think, I guess, I know this probably won't be the last time that I freak out, but right now I'm okay. And I think that is a sign of maturity, because in my past, what I would want to do is just kind of, again, lash out and just go back to my old habits and just run back to what makes me feel safe. But right now, I'm running to Him, and I'm bringing Him my hurts. I'm bringing Him my pain. And I know David did the same thing in the book of Psalms when he felt like God was just silent. And for me, that my situation kind of reminds me of Joseph's story. And I don't think I'm quite where Joseph was when he went from the prison to the palace, but I think that I'm definitely at a place where, like, Joseph's second assignment in the prison. And Joseph had, even though he was sold into slavery, he was at Potiphar's house, and he had gotten comfortable there. He had got put in the leadership, and a lot of things happened to where his environment was compromised due to the sexual tension from his master's wife. And this was one of the reasons for me personally that I had to leave my previous employer, just because I just had too much temptation around me. I knew that if I didn't make a change, if I would have just stayed there and stayed hanging around the same people, stayed in that same environment, I probably would have eventually have failed. So I knew that I needed to move. And obviously it's different circumstances between me and Joseph, but something that I noticed when reading this story is that even though Potiphar threw Joseph into prison, he had placed him with the king's prisoners. And I had never noticed that before until I was reading it today, but Potiphar wasn't a king. So the fact that he put Joseph with the king's prisoners showed that Joseph still had favor even though he was in prison. And I know that it says that in there, that the warden showed him favor, but Potiphar, I think in his heart, I think Potiphar knew that his wife was lying, but he couldn't choose his wife over a servant boy, if that makes sense. And for me, I think it's significant because in my opinion, or just in my thought process, the king's prisoners probably were treated a little bit better than regular prisoners, or had access to a few more things. And so the fact that Joseph was there and became the leader of the king's prisoners kind of says a lot. And then even while he was in prison, Potiphar even still gave responsibility to Joseph. When the chief cupbearer and the chief chef were thrown into, the chief baker and the chief cupbearer were thrown into prison, it was Potiphar that came and placed them under Joseph's care. And I think that even though like Joseph lost his quote unquote title, he never lost his responsibility. But for me, it's tough because even though he was favored in that season, there was still a couple years before he made it to the palace, but he was still close to God. But the thing is that there was a big jump from when when Joseph had interpreted the dreams for the chief cupbearer and the baker, when I forgot which one it was, but when the one who actually made it back to the palace and he was restored back into his old position, he forgot about him for 2 years. And the Bible just jumps from that conversation to then the next 2 years. That's when he remembered Joseph. And I don't know if God was silent during that time, but because there's no mention of like what happened in between that time. But I mean, I just gotta imagine that Joseph probably was frustrated. I mean, he had gotten I think the entire time between him being sold into slavery and until the palace was probably I think it's about 13 years, if I'm not mistaken. I have to go back and check, but 13 years is a long time. And even that last 2 years of when you're thinking and hoping like, man, I might have a chance. This guy's going to help me out. But then he forgets about you for 2 years. Like, that's got to hurt. I mean, and I could see him possibly losing hope. But I think as humans, it's okay for us to express ourselves, and especially express ourselves to God. I don't think God is offended by our emotions. I mean, he wouldn't have given it to us if he was offended by them. But for me, it's just, I don't know. I'm starting to understand that the closer you get to your promise, the quieter God gets. I still don't understand the reason why. Because in my mind, logically, like, right, if you're giving somebody an assignment and you're about to launch them into their next season, in my mind, I would think that you would want to give a person as much instruction as they can, the closer that they get to the promise. Like, hey, you're about to go on this mission. Here are all the details. Go do it. But I feel like in God's mind, it's the exact opposite. Like he goes silent the closer that you get to your promise. And I think it's for you to be able to draw closer to him. So that way, when you do enter in the promise, he already has your heart. He already has you. But honestly, I could see how the silence can get people to quit because, man, it's tough. It definitely is tough. But I think as long as we keep showing up, we don't have to act like we're strong. We don't have to act like we got this, because we don't. But just remember to get back up. When you have your tantrum, when you throw a fit or you just can't handle it anymore, give it to God, release it, and then just come back to it. Just keep getting back up. As long as you keep getting back up, he sees that and he'll still be with you. Just don't turn your back on him, and he won't turn his back on you. He'll never turn his back on you regardless, even if you turn your back on him. But that's just a little bit of kind of my message for today. Don't really have much else. But yeah, I love you guys. Praying for you guys, and praying for anybody that's even listening to these messages. But all right, have a good rest of your day.